Universal quantifiers. The second in the generalisation category of the NLP Meta Model. This is NLP and language. Most people find universal quantifiers one of the easiest to remember of the meta model categories, because if you're using words like nobody, all, everybody, never, always, those kind of 100% words, those are universal quantifiers. There is no exception with a universal quantifier. So as you can imagine, if we're challenging universal quantifiers, we're looking to perhaps find an exception or check, is that really true? Because certainly what I believe is that things are very, very rarely 100% true. You know, she always tells the truth. Really? Would that person have never, ever, ever told a small lie in their lives? It seems very unlikely to me. So I think they're always worth questioning in order to provide more freedom and more space for someone in what's being said. So I've got a book here that I'll mention below in the notes. It's called The Meta Model Demystified by Matt Caulfield. It's a book I only discovered 2 or 3 years ago, but it's very good, very interesting. Few people study the meta model in the way that he has and bother to explain it really clearly. One of the things that Matt says is that he doesn't expect to challenge a meta model deletion, distortion or generalisation with just one question. And that's sometimes, I think, where people make a mistake. They think almost like they're going to ask one question in response to the deletion, distortion or generalisation, and then that's going to do it. That's going to sort out the problem. In fact, what Matt says is you generally need 5 to 7 questions. I'll just give you an example, and it's an example with a universal quantifier. The universal quantifier he's chosen is nobody likes me. Now, anyone that has teenage children will recognise this common conundrum. However, it's surprisingly common for all people to feel this way. All people. So the client says, nobody likes me. Well, the meta modeler says something like, well, I admit that we've only just met, but you don't seem all that bad to me. Client, well, you don't count. Meta modeler, who counts then? The client says, people at work. So the meta modeler says, how do you know they don't like you? The client says, well, they never talk to me. The meta modeler says, do you talk to them? Client says, no, I can't do that. The meta modeler says, what would it be like if you could talk to them? Client, well, I wouldn't know what to say. And I feel very uncomfortable around them. I don't know how I could feel comfortable and relaxed. And then the meta modeler says, if you could do that, do you think that they might like you? And the client says, yeah, probably. And the meta modeler says, okay, what's the first thing you need to be able to know what to say, feel comfortable and relaxed? So it's just a little script, really, of a possible way of challenging a universal quantifier that uses 7 questions or statements, which is, I think, quite a good figure to have in mind. So other examples of universal quantifiers are, nobody likes me, as I just said. Everybody works too hard. Everybody works too hard. I'll never be able to get fit. Nobody's having any fun these days. So can you hear you've got an always, a never, an everybody, a nobody. And I think the other particularly interesting thing about universal quantifiers, this is something I found in my own experience, was they may show up in your internal dialogue rather than what comes out of your mouth. So, for example here, every time I try to do something nice, it backfires. Every time I try to do something nice, it backfires. Before I understood the meta model so well, that's the kind of thing I would have said to myself in my own internal dialogue. So just bet you always mess things up. Do you see what I mean? It might not come out of your mouth, it might be just inside. And that's true also of all meta model patterns. So after this video, just consider your internal dialogue in relationship to universal quantifier, and look out for the next video, which is modal operator of necessity. Bye for now.